Okay, so today I'm going to go over everything related to the simulation. So to start off with, um, everything's in this week 15, 16 simulation. So you have the instructions, which look at the instructions because that is actually what the email should look like. You might want to check your junk email because as of 418 Tuesday, or it's not Tuesday, Thursday 418 during your class, all the emails went out to you. The participants manual is literally your guide for anything related to the simulation. So any details you want to know. So you can do control find and search for anything. The candidate resumes are per quarter, you can hire different people. And so you can see those resumes in the simulation. This is just another place. The decision schedule, that's also going to be in this presentation I'm about to go through. But if you just want to look at that, that's there too. And so then we're going to go through this presentation. And then there is a quiz over all of this. You have multiple times to, I think you have 3 times to take the quiz. Um, and that will be due next Thursday before we start the simulation. So let's get into it. Okay. So this sales management simulation. This is really about, as I say at the bottom, integrating theory with practice. So everything you've learned, integrating that to you actually making decisions in regards to sales management. So this is when I said introduction or whatever, this is what the email should look like that you're receiving. Where can you access it? It's here on D2L, and I kind of need to update this a little bit because I'm not going to update it. I added one other thing, which was just decision schedule completely. So why have this simulation? Um, while learning from the book and lectures and case studies are all very valuable, and we do all of those things. You do articles as opposed to a book. Um, this is more of a hands-on experience. This is an applied knowledge. And so I think it's going to give you a different perspective and really show you how big a sales manager's job is. And again, you have the participants manual. Decisions you're going to have to make. I'm not going to read these to you, but if I'm counting correctly, there are 9 different decisions. So you're going to make those 9 decisions. So to begin with, you have 2 product offerings. We don't know what the product is. As they term it in economics, it's widgets for all you know. There's the base product and the premium product. The cost of the base product is 3,000, the premium is 4. And what you start out with, and you can change this absolutely, but what the default is 3,500 base and 5,500 premium. You do not have to keep that. That's just the default, which you can then change. So things to know about the market. Future demand is uncertain. There are market research studies that you can purchase. There are a lot of them. This is when you want to refer back to the manual and see, like, what are these different market research studies? What information are you given? Is there some that have duplicate information? The answer is yes. And how much am I willing to spend on marketing research? Um, And so you can read the rest of this. So you have 10 different sales regions. Here are the sales regions. Um, Things to know about the sales regions. Trying to pause this. Okay, oh, pause. Things to know about the sales regions. One, look at the regions. If I were you or your team group, I would just either print off or have this slide separately so I can see where I'm putting people into regions and kind of mark that on here. One thing to know, and this says it in the participants manual, is that people are happier if they are in the region they're from or an adjacent region. So we're not playing all possible quarters. We're going to play 7 quarters. But you get 5 potential recruits per quarter. So in period 0, which is what you start with, and then you're making a decision for Q1, you have 5 salespeople. So the first 5 resumes, those people were hired and trained. You can move them to different regions. You can modify anything as you wish. In future periods, so one decision you're going to make for quarter 1 is, okay, you have these 5 salespeople. Do you want to keep all of them? Do you want to hire additional? You can hire an additional up to 5 out of the 5 given. You could hire 0, 1 through 5. It's up to you. So you have to make that kind of decision. Then, just in terms of how the region works, and I should back up and say, so every group is in the same industry. Y'all are all competing against each other. The only way for y'all to really see what each other is doing is to buy the market research. So know that if you put one person in a region, that doesn't mean there's only one person selling in that region. If there's one person selling for you, doesn't mean that the other 3 groups don't have people selling also. So you can see what the key decisions are. And then you also have to think about the salesperson's perspective, because a unique thing that's built into this is that the salesperson can also quit at any point in time. So again, they perform better in their home region or an adjacent region, and they perform better based on their earnings, which is impacted by growth, competitors, and coverage. In terms of training, so mandatory is, so like in Q1, if I hire 3 people, they will not be available until the next quarter. So they're not available that current quarter because they're going into training. You also have the option, if someone didn't perform well, to retrain them. There's cost associated with all of that. So other things in terms of compensation, because you do set a base salary when you give them the offer to hire, and then overall you're going to set a commission rate. Then you determine if there's going to be any sales contest. Another thing you have to think about is time management. So part of what you're setting in the simulation is external versus internal selling. And so that's probably a little bit different. Internal selling's probably a little bit different than what you potentially are thinking. So they're outside B2B salespeople. However, the internal selling is internal within the firm, which is developing relationships with other departments and people within the firm. So you also have to think about the product margins or profit margins for each product. You've got to consider the production cost. You have to also think about different strategies in terms of that. Like, are you going to be a low cost leader? Are you going to go more premium? That kind of stuff. Because not only do you set the price, but you set an amount that your salespeople are going to focus on each product, as well as how much you're going to produce. So inventory is another thing. I just mentioned how much are you going to produce. So some of the market research you can buy tells you an estimate. It can be high, low, you don't know. So you have to estimate how much you should produce. That also depends on what your product focus is, what type of cost leadership do you want to have, and then you determine that. And so there are costs involved with either not making enough or making too much. If you don't make enough of your product, then the overtime cost for producing more is $40 per unit. If you make too much of your product, then the storage cost of that is $25 a unit. However, you can use those units that you're storing in future quarters. So these are the pricing considerations. Market research. Some of the studies are really expensive. You really have to look at what they offer you. How necessary do you think they are? Are there any redundancies? So what we're going to use in terms of determining your success in terms of a grade are profit, market share, profit and market share. So in terms of grading, when you go in, unless you're the leader, and leader does not mean that you're the boss of the group. So if you are the leader and I've put you as the leader, I've just assigned it to people. All that means is there are two decisions that need to be made. So one decision is you should first individually submit your decision. So you look at all the factors and then you individually submit your decision. Then as a group, you come together and you discuss what each other thinks the decision should be and come to a decision for your group. Then what the leader does is that they put that decision in, submit it, and that's what the simulation runs off of. But you have to do your individual decision and your group has to do your decision. I have reports on all of this, and so literally the individual grading is a completion grade. Did you make a decision for every single quarter? How does that break down in terms of the group grading? There are different points assigned. And then the overall points will determine your grade. I do not count quarter one. Why do I not count quarter one? Quarter one, you don't know what you're doing. You're making your best guess. You have no information to go off of because you haven't submitted anything. So you will be graded off of Q2 through Q7. So this is an example. Before I've done 8 quarters, we're just going to do 7 to fit within our time constraints. And this is how everything like looks in terms of how I'm grading you for your group. And then first place group will get 1.5 points added to their final grade in the class. Second place, 0.5 point. Then for Thursday, April 25th, by 11, you need to have completed your quiz. You definitely should have at least made your individual decision. And then you have a little bit of time in class to meet with your group, not a lot of time. And then the decision schedule looks like this. So by 11:30 in your group, day 1, next Thursday, you're going to have to submit your decision. I'll run it. And then you have like another 30-ish minutes to make your next decision. Just please note the times, like especially quarter 3 and 4. Those are Tuesdays when we're not normally in class together. What? Wait. Yeah. So just note that because you still have to make those decisions for Q3 and Q4. And then the groups are this, which are the same groups you've had. And then again, I just kind of randomly assign people to be the leader. I can change that. Like it's a 2-second thing to change it. So if it needs to be changed, let me know and I can do that. And then please like go through the manual and it's going to be fun. I'm excited for y'all to start this.